Gen Z is not lazy. They are mentally exhausted, not physically tired, cognitively drained. This is the first generation raised inside the algorithm, not introduced to it, raised inside it. Notifications before school, group chats during homework, scrolling past midnight, no entry point, no exit point. Psychologists call this persistent cognitive activation. The brain never fully shuts down. It monitors, it compares, it anticipates. Older generations had boundaries. School ended, work ended, social pressure paused. Gen Z has no clean edges. Everything blends. Friends, news, politics, performance. Here's the strange part. They are hyper-aware, yet constantly confused. Behavioral research shows constant comparison increases self-surveillance. They don't just live, they observe themselves living. Am I behind? Am I attractive enough? Am I doing enough? The questions never stop. 9 years old. First smartphone. First exposure to global standards. Influencers with perfect lighting. Entrepreneurs at 16. Fitness models at 18. Success became visible too early. And this is where it shifts. Previous generations compared locally. Classmates, coworkers, neighbors. Gen Z compares globally. Millions of curated lives. Millions of highlight reels. Not reality. Performance, not connection. Exhibition. They learned fast. Attention equals value. Visibility equals relevance. Silence equals disappearance. So they optimize. They filter. They brand themselves. Not narcissistic. Adaptive. Not dramatic. Strategic. But optimization has a cost. When identity becomes a project, rest feels irresponsible. Every hobby must scale. Every opinion must signal intelligence. Every photo must compete. There's a term for this. Identity fatigue. When the self becomes a product, the mind never relaxes. Here's the paradox. They were promised freedom, unlimited choice, unlimited access, unlimited possibility, but unlimited input creates unlimited pressure. Too many paths, too many standards, too many metrics, and exhaustion without visible hardship gets dismissed. No war zones, no factories, just Wi-Fi. So people assume comfort. They miss the mental fragmentation. Gen Z is not collapsing. They are overstimulated and under-recovered. And this tension is only the beginning. But overstimulation is only the surface. The deeper issue is instability. Gen Z grew up during permanent uncertainty, financial crashes, pandemics, political chaos, climate alarms, school 1 year, lockdown the next, masks, distance, screens again. In high-conflict environments, the brain shifts into vigilance. Psychologists call this background anxiety, not panic, not breakdown, constant scanning. They learned early that stability is temporary. Plans dissolve, rules change, certainty disappears. So they adapt. They don't commit too fast. They don't trust too easily. They keep options open, not flaky, protective, not indecisive, strategic. Here's the paradox. They are told to plan long-term, but they were trained by short-term disruption. 5-year plan. For what world? College degrees rising in cost, housing out of reach, careers automated. This changes something important. When the future feels unstable, the present feels heavy. Why relax? Why settle? Why attach? Everything feels conditional. Picture this. 19 years old. Online classes. Muted microphone. Camera off. Alone in a bedroom. Hundreds of faces on a grid. No real eye contact. No hallway conversations. No spontaneous laughter. Social development paused. Not isolated. Digitized. Not connected. Simulated. Behavioral research shows humans regulate stress through co-regulation. Eye contact. Physical proximity. Shared space. Gen Z had substitutes. Emojis. Typing indicators. Read receipts. And this is where it gets interesting. Digital communication increases interpretation. Short message. Long overthinking. Seen at 8:42 p.m. No reply. Silence becomes narrative. They analyze tone. They analyze timing. They analyze punctuation. Mental energy drains in invisible ways. Older generations misread this as fragility, but this is cognitive hyperprocessing. Always decoding. Always anticipating reaction. Always managing perception. They are not socially weak. They are socially overloaded. And when everything feels uncertain, and everyone feels watchful, the nervous system never stands down. That is not drama. That is chronic activation. And chronic activation becomes exhaustion. Chronic activation doesn't explode. It erodes. Slowly. Quietly. This is the final layer. Gen Z performs awareness. They know the language. Boundaries, triggers, gaslighting, attachment styles. They can label everything, but labeling is not relief. It is monitoring. They track their moods. They track their productivity. They track their relevance. Not self-obsessed, self-surveilling, not dramatic, hyper-informed. Here's the paradox. They have more mental health vocabulary than any generation, yet they feel less stable. Why? Because awareness without safety increases tension. When you can name every dysfunction, you see it everywhere. At work, in family, in dating, in yourself. There's a term for this. Meta-anxiety. Anxiety about being anxious. Stress about being behind. Guilt about resting. And this is where it sharpens. Rest no longer feels neutral. Rest feels risky. While they pause, someone else posts. While they sleep, someone else builds. While they hesitate, someone else scales. The feed never stops. So they don't either. 23 years old. Multiple tabs open. Job application half done. Side project unfinished. Messages unanswered. Mind racing. Body still. This is not laziness. This is decision fatigue, colliding with identity pressure. Behavioral research shows excessive choice reduces satisfaction and increases paralysis. Too many paths, too many metrics, too much visibility. Here's the consequence. Delayed adulthood, delayed commitment, delayed risk, not incapable, calculating, not apathetic, uncertain. They wait for stability that never arrives, and the system keeps accelerating. Faster trends, shorter attention spans, higher performance standards. So Gen Z adapts again. They detach emotionally. They limit exposure. They reduce expectations. Not hopeless. Energy conserving. Not broken. Protecting bandwidth. The exhaustion is not weakness. It is the cost of constant adaptation. And here is the uncomfortable insight. If someone feels mentally tired all the time, in a world that never rests, it might mean they are fully aware of the game. The question is simple. Will they redesign the system, or keep surviving inside it? If this analysis felt uncomfortably accurate, that says something. Observe the patterns, question the pace, and decide who controls your attention. Do you think Gen Z is exhausted, or just exposed to reality earlier than everyone else? Subscribe, comment your position. I'm watching the arguments,